3 things today about working something out rather than answering it. First, which problems actually need it, because most do not, and the ones that do share 3 signals you can spot before you ask. Second, a number from this project that I got badly wrong myself. 2% of the steps here fail, and I would have told you a clean day was near certain. It is about 1 in 4, and I checked that against what actually happened rather than stopping at the arithmetic. And third, every single time on this channel the first answer was confidently wrong, cataloged, and anchored to the files, because a list of your own mistakes is the most tempting thing in the world to quietly improve. Start with when slowing down is worth anything at all. So here is how to spot one before you ask, and all 3 come from mistakes on this channel. 1. The question contains a superlative with no unit. Best, hardest, most important. 2. The answer depends on something nobody has stated out loud, like which page numbering you meant. 3. There is a fast, plausible answer available, which is the dangerous one, because you will accept it. And the practical line is whether you could eyeball the result. Look something up, rewrite a paragraph, summarize a page. If those come back wrong, you will see it immediately. Multi-step arithmetic, competing constraints, anything where step 4 depends on step 2 being right. You cannot check those by looking at them, and that is exactly where a fast, confident answer costs you. But here is the bit that is actually in your control, and it does not require any particular mode or setting. Ask for the working. Not because reading it makes you feel better, but because working you can see is working you can check, and a step you can point at is a step that can be wrong in public. This channel has 6 documented cases where the first answer was confident and wrong, and every single one was caught by looking at something concrete rather than by thinking harder about it. So do not ask, is this right? Ask, what did you do? And then check one of the steps. Second, a rate I misjudged, and the check that made the answer trustworthy. 26%, not 90. 3 days out of 4, something in the day fails, and I would have guessed high if you had asked me before I ran it. The rate is real. 23 failures out of 1,031 steps, taken straight from this project's own log. One video is 15 steps, so 71% clean. One day is 60 steps, 26. A week is 420 steps, and the answer rounds to 0. The rate never changed. Only the number of chances to trip did. And then the part 1 think most versions of this skip. That is arithmetic, and arithmetic can be about nothing. So I went back to the log and measured the actual gaps between failures. The model predicts a mean gap of about 44 steps. The real mean gap is 42. The longest clean run in 19 days was 118 steps, which is under 2 days of work. So the intuition that goes wrong here is not about the 2%. It is that we read a rate and forget to count how many times we are rolling. 2% per step is genuinely small. 60 steps is genuinely a lot of steps. And notice what that argues for, not being more careful, because careful does not move a rate much. It argues for the failures being cheap to notice, which is the entire reason this pipeline stops itself in 61 places. If something fails 3 days in 4, the only question that matters is whether you find out in 10 seconds or after you have posted it. And third, the catalog, including the bit where writing it went wrong too. 6 cases, across days 12 to 19. A wrong page numbering. A superlative with 4 answers. A file reported missing that had simply been renamed. A scanner that returned 146 when the truth was 101. A silent audio bug blamed on wiring that was completely fine. And a scanner that counted its own source code. And here is what makes it worth cataloging rather than just apologizing for. 6 cases, 6 genuinely different ways of being wrong. No 2 share a failure mode. The code ran perfectly in most of them. And the thing that caught each one was never thinking harder about it. It was a check, a spot check by hand, or a test that could only come back yes or no. One last thing, and it is my favorite part of making this. I did not write that list from memory. Every entry names a file and a phrase that has to still be in it, and the script refuses to produce anything if one is gone. Which matters, because a list of your own mistakes is the single most tempting thing in the world to quietly soften. And on the first run it refused. 2 of my markers did not match what was actually in the files. I had misremembered my own wording days after writing it. So the catalog you just watched is the second attempt, and that is really the 7th case. It just got caught before it reached you. So here is what today adds up to, and it is not be more careful. If 2% of steps fail and a day is 60 steps, then something failing is the normal condition, 3 days out of 4. You cannot fix that by concentrating, and every hour spent trying is an hour not spent on the thing that does work, which is making a wrong answer cheap to discover. Look at the 6 cases. The page numbering was caught by a verifier that reads the PDF. The renamed file was caught by an audit that looks at every video rather than today's 4. The scanner that counted itself was caught because I read its output instead of its total. Not one of them was caught by being cleverer at the moment of the mistake. Every one was caught by something that ran afterwards and did not care how confident anybody was. So the question to ask about any process you are building is not how do I avoid mistakes. It is how quickly does a mistake become visible and to whom. 3 things worth keeping. Slow down on the problems with a fast, plausible answer, because that is the answer you will accept without checking. Count the chances, not the rate, because a small rate across a lot of steps is a coin flip. And write your mistakes down somewhere that cannot be quietly improved later. And the thread through today, which has been running since about day 10, and I have finally got the numbers to say plainly. In all 6 of those cases, the wrong answer arrived exactly as confidently as the right one would have. 146 was said with the same certainty as 101. The wiring is broken was as fluent as the actual explanation. That is not a flaw in the tool. I did it too, twice, in this very video's own scripts. Confidence is free to produce, and it carries no information at all, which means the only thing separating a right answer from a wrong one is whether something checked. Not who said it, not how sure they sounded, not how well it was argued, whether something checked. That's day 20. 3 shorts every day and a full cut like this each evening. Subscribe if it's useful to you.